Welcome to the Wonder Boys podcast. I'm Krishna and Vegas, and this is
Vegas Tunneled. Hello.
Hey, this is maybe our 5th or 6th episode. I'm not even sure, but we've been doing this for a while. Some changes have happened. We've gotten real cameras.
Look at my pores.
So we look a little better thanks to our friends Roberto Daza and Vegas. That's your camera. So
I stole this camera from Peter von Arkmile, the guy who's suing
Kanye
West.
Okay, great.
Yeah, well, I don't think he wants to.
So this is a friends and family kind of podcast where we put it together based on the people we know.
You know how they say it takes a village?
It does.
You need to steal and borrow from a village.
That's right.
You need to pillage a village.
Pillage a village.
Pillage a village.
Like your forebears, your ancestors themselves.
The Vikings.
The Vikings.
Yeah.
So before we get any further, I just wanted to, again, reiterate to the people who are listening to this. First of all, thank you. Secondly, please follow us on Instagram, Twitter, not Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Substack.
So we get people who are like, oh yeah, I listened to your podcast. It's great. And they think that's enough.
It's not enough.
It's not enough. You have to hit various buttons. There's a subscribe button. There's a like button. If you want to share it with your friends and family, we're just hat in hand here.
Yeah, every little bit counts. So let's get into it. It's just going to be you and me today because, well, it's difficult to find a guest. And honestly, I kind of like it when it's just you.
I love it. I will say it's not difficult to find a guest.
No.
They're selling us short.
That's true.
They just couldn't make it.
They couldn't make it this week. And you know what? It took us a long time to actually set up these new cameras. And so I'm really glad it was just you and me.
We've been here for hours. Quickly, what have we learned apart from the technical stuff, you think, in these last 4, 5, maybe 6 episodes?
I think we've learned how to put things on YouTube Shorts and how to use the collaborative mode on Instagram. We've learned very basic things. Well, I think more than that, I've learned that this is something that's fun to do, even when we're sitting down doing it. And it's something that's fun to do when we have to use the computers and stuff to do the other things.
I've learned the way to your house.
Yes.
Without using a map.
You don't have to put it into Google Maps anymore.
Oh, today I was just driving to your house and didn't even think about it. And I got here. I've learned where parking is good in your neighborhood. These are all marketable skills. Even if this podcast should somehow, fail, which it won't, but I'll always know the way to your house.
I feel like that's a metaphor for something.
It's a metaphor for something.
Okay, so here's what I want to talk to you today about Vegas. Since it's just you and me, this is a theme that we discussed before previously, but not really on a podcast before, unless I'm forgetting, which it happened. We forget the podcast.
We don't have enough episodes in the pocket to already start forgetting stuff we've talked about.
And yet it happens.
And yet it happens all the time. I forgot, by the way, we're supposed to post an episode today.
Yeah.
And we'd both forgotten the whole episode. We recorded a full episode and edited it. Yeah. And we memory pulled it.
Mm-hmm.
So it happens. Go on.
Let's say, okay, so the concept that I want to talk about is persuasion. Remember we talked about this in our sort of pre-production meetings?
Yeah.
You have to convince people to do things.
Yeah.
And the way that you do that, let's make different ways that you can convince people to do things. But it feels like persuasion is a really important skill to have, a really contentious place to think about how the world works. It is, at least for me. Mm-hmm. And the reason I'm saying this is because part of this project for me is rediscovering and re-understanding what it is I do and why. And I think very early in my career as a journalist, I knew what I was doing. I was out there to tell the truth to the world, change people's minds, because it was very simple to me back then. If you told a good story about a person whose life depended on something happening or not happening, and the stakes were high, the evidence was strong, and the filmmaking was good, that you could persuade people into thinking differently than they came into the episode thinking.
So you didn't just want to be a storyteller. You also wanted to change hearts and minds. That was something you wanted to do.
That was what the tool of journalism seemed to be best suited for. And the tool of storytelling, in the way that we did it, it's a rich way of doing so. But I don't think that does it anymore. I don't think a single story about a person really changes anyone's minds anymore. And I see it over and over again. There's all these stories about people going through crazy stuff. Yeah. And people are just as siloed, if not more, and entrenched into positions they've already had.
Well, I think narrative is important, right? I think persuasion is as much building a narrative that resonates as anything else. And we can talk about whether or not some people are born persuaders or salesmen or whatever. But I think a key thing that is a little overlooked in the narrative of how we got here and I mean like the greater we in the country, the world, is that some people who are currently in power did a really good job creating a narrative of who we are as a nation, who we are as a people, how we got here, who's trying to take our shit, and what to do about it. Like they were able to spin a pretty compelling yarn, right?
Yeah.
And the other side, um, let's call them the good guys or the inept guys,
Yeah.
haven't been able thus far to come up with a competing, compelling narrative, right?
Yeah.
So I think our task, you and I as well, is like, how do we create a compelling narrative of what this podcast is and what we are? Something that people are like, I want to tune in. This resonates with me.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the concept is very broad, is that
Mhm.
way, and we're discussing it on this kind of macro political level. But I want to even talk about it on like the most person to person, intimate level. I'll tell you a story.
Mhm.
A friend of ours, we were spending some time with our friends. Their child does card tricks, and did like a card trick that completely blew my mind, and it was amazing. Uh, and then I looked it up and I figured out how to do it. But it was in the moment of the little child doing the card trick that I was totally persuaded that everything he was doing was totally fine. But there was
Mhm.
no, chicanery, or uh, there was no kind of, he wasn't trying to trick me. It just looked like magic. So I don't know. I guess to me, it's like magic tricks are a really interesting place to think and start to
Mhm.
think about persuasion.
I think there's some like magic is a good word, right? Because even though the trick isn't magic in and of itself, I think there's some magic to persuasion. There's something ephemeral that to a certain degree cannot be taught. Like some people are just built to convince us in some way. And it sounds like the kid had like the showmanship down
You did.
or whatever, which is it's like a concern to me, and it's not, because sometimes I don't feel like I'm a natural born persuader.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm a natural born storyteller,
Mm-hmm.
but I can have a hard time convincing people to be like, go with my thing. Like, you remember pitch meetings
Yeah.
at work?
Sure.
Some people were just great at it, and some people struggle to just, the idea could be good, but the persuading the higher ups to put money and resources into it was a little harder. So that's the kind of persuasion I've always had like a little trouble with getting into too.
But that's funny because I think you sound to me like a very believable person when you say things like, generally speaking, I believe that it happened to you, or that is the way that you feel.
Yeah.
But you're very like on the surface of that way. So is that wrong?
Well, I think it's, I don't, again, we keep forgetting what we've talked about, but I think I've sort of compared myself to like the airport windsock before.
Oh yeah.
In your presence, and she's like an empty bag of air.
Yeah.
But some people who,
This is like on airfields.
Yeah.
The way it's like a sock, but it's huge.
it's pretty big.
And it's how you know which way the wind is blowing.
Yeah. And I feel like I need to be filled with something, otherwise I'm just a fluffy thing. But um, where some people are just like, I don't care what you say, I'm going to go to the Ukraine because I know the story's good. But I've always been like, I need you to validate my story because I think it's good. But if you say it's bad, then I'm more than happy to agree with you as well, which is not great.
Yeah.
You know, people say carry yourself with the confidence of a mediocre white man.
Mhm.
I have all of that except the confidence. You know, which is tricky because me and you are in a persuading business now.
Yeah, I think about the people who like try to stop you on the street to get you to donate to,
Yeah.
save the children or whatever, and their job is to like every minute try to persuade someone to stop, persuade someone to listen, persuade someone to get money. Like it's a never ending like, let me try to convince you of something.
And they're working off a script, probably, right? There's still some
Yes.
training involved.
Yes.
So like I wonder what it's like to read to write that script.
Mhm.
To be like, you are literally getting in people's way. I don't care how laudable the aim is or the thing you're collecting money for, but you are inconveniencing people.
Yes.
So you gotta break through that barrier, right? Our job is easier. We just have to like, please take 30 minutes out of your day to listen to our nonsense. But yeah, I don't know. Some of the people are remarkably good at it.
Have you ever been persuaded by an on the streets person to like stop, talk, and give?
Oh, so many times.
What
There's
worked?
still uh what works? I'll take a compliment.
Okay.
Yeah. And okay, I'm gonna be honest, like an attractive woman,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
That's how.
If it's like, I'm not gonna give money to anything. I'm not gonna give money to the GOP or whatever, but It took me forever to get out of the nature conservancy thing. I was giving to them. I was giving to Save the Children. I was giving to like just so much because once they get you, it's a hassle to get out of it.
Yeah.
And they keep sending you stuff and they keep calling you. And I'm also very I don't want to offend them or make them sad. So, do you get if you've ever donated to the Nature Conservancy, and you should first donate money to us on Substack, but if you have a little extra, donate it to a good cause. But they'll keep if you stop donating, they'll call you, right? And they'll be like, "Oh, it's not a good time. When is a good time?" And instead of saying like never, I'll be like, "How's next Thursday around 3?" And next Thursday fucking rolls around, and I still can't say no.
I had this. Well, that reminds me of being in this like forever loop of kind of putting off an unpleasant thing to do.
Mhm.
I had to get my bottomed wisdom teeth out. They're still in. I'm 43.
Same, all of them.
But it's not posing like an immediate problem. But every time I go to the dentist, they're like, "You should really get these out."
Yeah, you
Uh,
have good teeth, by the way.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Dude. Wow, really?
Yeah.
For those of you who are just listening to this, I don't have.
Do this with your teeth for the listeners. The narrow, and I guess more.
That's us. So I made an appointment with the dentist to do this, but then I'm afraid. I don't want to get them out. It's because it's like a not quite a surgical procedure, but they don't knock you out.
Yeah.
And I remember getting my top ones out, and it was just like kind of a medieval torture chamber.
You know when you're like your mouth is numb, but you can still feel it fill with blood.
Yeah, and the pressure and the sound. I mean, I don't even want to talk about it. And I think the reason I'm bringing it up is because I kept putting it off. The day would happen, I would call Tend. Don't go to Tend. Or if you do, use product code Krishna. I'm sorry.
Well, maybe we do have sponsors now. We'll talk something later. I have some ideas on how to get sponsored.
So I kept calling them and saying I can't make it for whatever reason and putting it off for a week or a month or whatever the next thing was. And it would be 6 weeks or like 8 weeks, and it would come up on my calendar. I would see it, and I'd be like, "Oh, no, I'll just deal with that later. I'll just call them later and reschedule." And I just never would. And what I ended up doing was just paying the $250 cancellation fee
every time,
just once.
Oh.
At the end. By the end, every time I called in, they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll do this for you. We can definitely postpone it. It sounds like you have a really good reason." I wasn't lying necessarily. I was just saying like my kid has something to do the next day, which.
Do you think they eventually knew that you were just bullshitting, and every time they called them or you called them, okay, we're going to postpone?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that they have like a vast customer profile of like the kind of person that I am.
Coward.
Yes, exactly.
Big red letters.
Coward. And so I'm sure that they, as soon as I call, like lights on that screen come up, this guy's going to
the yellow belly.
He's
Do you know, that reminds me, I've never broken up with anyone.
Me either.
I technically on paper still have several girlfriends.
Oh, as in like, wait, explain that to me. Because mine's much simpler.
I would just stop calling because I don't want. Well, I've broken up.
You don't want to have the conversation.
I don't want to have the conversation. I had it once with a girl.
Yeah.
And she like super yelled at me, all for good and valid reasons, but it was so uncomfortable that I decided in that moment to never do this again. Another time I tried to break up with a girl and it didn't take.
That sounds difficult. So as in to say that the woman was like, I'm still your girlfriend.
We sat down in public because I didn't think she would cause a scene in public, and she didn't. And I was like, I don't think this is working. We've only dated for like a minute.
Yeah.
And then she was like, okay, I get it. It's sad and whatever. And then I was like, okay, well, I guess bye. And she's like, okay, so what do we do later today? And I said, the movies? And we went to the movies. And then we're still dating. And I think we're still dating to this day.
So you have a wife and then a few other girlfriends you haven't broken up with.
I'm basically like fundamentalist Latter-day Saint, only the coward version. There's no religion, just cowardice.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's just getting your own special sheet for that, I guess.
Yeah. That reminds me of something I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
Have you ever had your heart truly broken?
No, not really.
Haven't you?
I haven't been in enough relationships and really given myself over into it. Other than like literally, my wife is my first like real girlfriend.
That's pretty good.
Which I really lucked out on. So I guess there's time yet for
yeah.
I don't think it's out of the question.
Yeah. Well, we both have that. We're going to when we turn 50, we're going to be just real embarrassing divorced dads.
I mean, it's very possible.
Can we get an apartment together with a jacuzzi?
It's a great idea.
It's a
Like
great
Vanilla
idea.
House's dad.
Yeah, and none of our kids will ever want to visit.
Well, it's partially like I think I was a bit of a hot item for a while. I was doing well.
Okay.
It was always cool to talk to me. I was cool. And
Did you walk into a room and feel it?
a little, yeah, sure. Or at least I felt the idea that like I could be it.
Okay.
It was there in me. So I guess what I'm saying is now my wife is definitely the cooler one.
Yeah.
Like, because she has always had an incredibly cool job and is incredibly brilliant, whatever. But now there's just no counterbalance. It's just me being like, yeah, I've been doing a lot of parenting and not even that much parenting, like about the same as before.
When you were at the height of your power,
Yeah.
did you feel, and you can be honest, did you feel like you had to do a lot of work when you were chatting up women, or did you feel like, hey, you guys should, you pitch me?
Wait, I wasn't chatting up women. What do you mean?
Well, when you were in a bar.
Oh,
or
like
whatever.
as a younger person.
Yeah, as a younger single person.
Oh, I never had any game. I had no way.
Oh, really?
I've always been really clam up, don't know what to do. As soon as it's like, I don't know how to be cool about thinking someone's an attractive person. I just, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah. I'm good at, maybe this is a good
But that's
time.
persuasion too, isn't it? Like, that's an idea of how to persuade people to like you, which is something I've never had.
That's very true.
Like Hitch.
And
a Hitch.
I've never seen that movie.
Yeah.
That's fine. So we can just assume what it's about.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, because you have to have that confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And Natalie told us we were cool and attractive. So I guess she's
She
right.
did, but that doesn't mean we believe it or that
No.
we internalize that in any good way.
But I think, and this is a segue to something that we've promised ourselves to talk about for a long time,
Yeah.
which is our cool club that we're going to start.
Oh, finally.
Finally, let's get into it.
All right,
Because
great.
I think the reason why before I was married, and like kind of even still, well, no, the reason I was bad at talking to women back in the day was because there was pressure and expectation of something sexual where I would have to perform
Mhm.
afterwards,
Mhm.
which just scares the living shit out of me.
So even if a woman like were to express some interest in you while you're talking to her,
Yeah,
you would almost take that as the front because it means you'd have to, perform.
I want that initial interest. I don't want disdain.
Yeah.
No, thank you for disdain. I'll
Got
take
enough of that,
interest. Yeah, I get enough of that from my kids and friends and random
Soon
strangers.
enough. Soon enough. Sure.
But I want that first level of interest. And then if I feel there's more interest, like if I feel her like gaze drop down to my pecs,
Yeah.
and that, this has gone too far. Now I'm scared. Now I'm scared. I want a sibling is what I'm saying, I guess. But we had this idea when we were driving up to see Farha, who's
Right.
going to be our guest, who maybe at this point has been our
Has
guest.
been or will be our guest.
This is like a time traveling
Mhm.
movie. We don't know what's happened or what's going to happen, but we were driving up and then we had this great idea. Do you want to pitch this idea to our viewers?
Okay, so you guys have probably heard of like speed dating, or you've probably heard of swinging clubs.
Good.
What if we put those two things together?
Mhm.
But we took the sex completely out of it, which is to say, you get to flirt, you get to hang out, you get to express mutual interest, you get to make out,
Yeah.
and you might even get to
Second base.
because it's called the second base club.
It's called the second base club. And it takes all the pressure out of it
Mhm.
for men and women.
Yep.
Because I don't fully buy this whole narrative that all guys want to do is fuck and all that women are trying to do is like
Repel them.
repel. Who doesn't like a little bit of making out?
A little bit of making out and a little bit of gentle fondling.
Yeah, just over the sweater stuff.
Right. So
That goes for both genders.
Okay, so that's the I think we've explained it pretty clearly.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a bar or club where
Yeah.
you go to and you're allowed to flirt, kiss, fun in the bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's rules.
There's rules, and this might be where we run into constitutional issues.
Like the US Constitution or
Yes.
like my bowels.
Maybe it depends on what you eat or how well. Because if I feel the pressure to perform,
Yeah.
my bowels will manifest.
It's always a
Nice.
possibility. It's always a
But
possibility.
because we have to completely remove the specter of sex from the table.
Okay.
So there can't be
Yes.
like, there can't be like flirting happening in the second base club, and then like, hey, what do you say we get out of here? and go home to my place or hotel.
Well, because it's, you get to second base in that way, you might want to go further
Yeah, but you can't.
into the club.
You can't. No, you can't do it anywhere. You can't. I don't want to have to be. I don't want to have to be like, no, I don't want to after I leave the club. So I think we have to sign some sort of ironclad document
Okay.
that you will not go beyond second base for 3 to 4 weeks after you've left the club, or we imprison them.
Prison, straight to jail.
Well, dorms.
Oh, like a Norwegian prison.
Yeah, exactly. So there's like no way you can break the second base rule.
Yeah.
Chastity device?
Right. That you were thinking about a chastity device. I was thinking about sort of an anti-Viagra, like a pill that is only lasts for the time that you're there and a few hours afterwards.
Yeah.
That it makes it such that either the man or the woman doesn't have the stirring beneath the belt, so to speak. That might cause you to go further than the second base as prescribed by the second base club.
See, I really like this idea.
I kind of hate it now that we've
No,
talked
no, no,
about
no, no.
it.
This is an and or. Like, because we live in America, so it's important to have choice and freedom.
Uh-huh.
So you sign up for this thing, you
Yeah.
pay a small fee, and you flirt. And then you get to choose prison, chastity device,
Or drugs.
drug, chemical castration.
Short period of time chemical castration, reversible chemical castration.
Yeah, you never know. Science isn't an exact science.
No, it's an art.
Can you do, because Viagra, I hear, works for a limited amount of time. It's not a forever pill. Can you get like a flaccid pill that only works for 4 to 6 hours?
Actually, the way that I think that Viagra works by inhibiting a certain enzyme that makes you lose an erection after sex is over. So I think if you just pump people with that enzyme, whatever it is, they just won't get the erection.
Which one would you go for? I kind of like the idea of the little chastity device. It sounds a little kinky. No, that's not the point, is it? Fuck. God damn it.
I think jail is a good one.
If it's like, you know what it is though? It's camp, is what we're describing. Like you go and you make out with the other counselors, and then you go back to your cabin.
Yeah. Oh, I see. You mean say let's call this camp,
It is camp.
not residence camp.
No. And then you high five your other counselors. Like, did you say I touched a boob?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck yeah, you did.
I guess maybe we're also then nostalgic for a time where things were a little simpler when it came to like what it means to be with a person.
That's very good.
Where it was really just a frontier that you were crossing that was party acceptance.
Yeah.
And now we've crossed most
All
of
of
them.
them. All the Rubicons.
There's a lot of frontiers I haven't crossed yet, but
We'll cross them together.
we could. We could.
It's a whole other podcast. My daughter is now she's 13, and her friends have like started like dating and stuff, and it's all just like today at school these two people might hug, and it's just great.
Well, that's where the frontiers come in. Okay, so that's second base club. How does it relate to the concept of persuasion in any way?
Well, I think we have to work pretty hard to persuade people to join our second base club.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because at the moment, it's you and I sitting in a metaphorical room being like, hey, does anyone want to make out?
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Gotta come in and make out.
Thank God our wives don't listen to this podcast.
Well, certainly not this far through it. That's for sure.
Right now, I picture there's like one person we know is listening, and that's Lyle. Hi, Lyle.
What's up, Lyle?
Lyle is sitting there going, that's a pretty good idea. I'm into it. And then he's going to have to try to convince his girlfriend. And we could ask him, like, what does he think about persuasion?
Lyle. That's a really good test for us for like late podcast conversations to see what he thinks about what we talked about. Because he'll obviously have listened to it and no one else will have.
What I would really like, I would like people to send in questions and voices and concerns to this podcast.
That's a good idea.
Isn't it a good idea?
We haven't even tried for that yet.
No, I mean, we can ask. Again, it's going to have to be very specific, Lyle. What do you want to know?
Okay, so how about updates on our ongoing quests to do things? I'll give my update. I haven't gone to a church yet because Sunday's super busy with the kids. I didn't have a chance to walk around the churches and say, hey, you guys have a choir. Can I join it?
Yeah. Okay, but again, I was talking to, again, and because he started going to church again.
Did he really?
Yeah. And I mentioned your thing that you wanted to join a church choir. He said, like, do you want to come to my church on a Sunday? He's apparently got like a really nice, pleasant church where they're singing and hollering and stuff.
That would be nice to have a guide, and Lyle is a great guide.
Maybe we just like go to church. I honestly would dig going to church.
Church with Lyle.
Church with Lyle. I found a temple
Oh, a temple
that I'm going to check out. I'm still searching for.
for a Buddhist awakening. Is what they're looking for.
Yeah, I tried doing the guided meditation, but I only do it on YouTube, and like in the middle of it is like an advert, which really takes you out of it.
Wow.
One, it's like skincare. Like, yeah, it does not. But yeah, so there's that. But I'm also working on finding my monologues for my audition,
Oh, cool.
and then maybe we can have on as a guest my friend Gene, who is an actor and a filmmaker, and he promised to like coach me through the monologue stuff, and he's also been going to a lot of auditions here in New York. He's cried and had breakdowns on stage and stuff, which sounds like a fun time.
Wait, like not as part of the audition, like
Absolutely not. Yeah, that's tough. It's very the whole thing is very fraught. So that's the update. What about the night fights?
well, we've talked to them, but we haven't gotten word from the biggest organization,
The head honcho.
the head honchos, like the Kings
Yeah.
themselves, that they operate the big national night fight that happens every summer. So we're trying to get in touch with them so we can explain our project and go film with our local night fight chapter as they prepare in intermediary battles,
Mhm.
then the big battle that happens in the middle of the summer. So we'll be doing that. It's sort of a slow process because this is nobody's priority other than ours.
Other than ours. I was thinking also because they're there every Tuesday,
We should go back.
and I just kind of just want to get hit.
Oh, just to get hit.
Yeah, with a sword.
Did you get hit last time?
Well,
You hit me in the head with your hand, and that hurt.
oh, you did something. You must have done something. No one gets hit in the head for no reason. They hit me. Yeah, I was wearing some sort of cover,
Yeah.
but I do want to. I do want to try to like fight a little bit. You know,
So maybe we should just do that, and we can record it with our new cameras.
we can do it before and after. We'll
Yeah.
just get pummeled, and then we'll do a montage where I just do a ton of sit-ups.
Let's do that.
Okay,
Let's do that to get the ball rolling. They'll see that we're serious in the way that we're, at least participating.
yeah,
And it
That's
might
a good idea.
spur on the conversation to get up to that national level. Because the night fights truly is that sort of signature Wonder Boys experience that we're talking
they're
about.
so wonderful.
It is such a great way of spending time with people in
Mhm.
civic communion,
Mhm.
doing something that is on its face kind of like a battle,
Yeah.
but in its spirit is a communion that isn't about violence, it's about coming together.
It's very well put.
Thanks, man.
Also, I think we're going to go guest another YouTube thing.
What does that mean?
Well, we've
Oh,
invited to go on a board game. Again, that this might have happened already when we're talking about this, but we will post about it.
Uh-huh.
We've been asked to go on a podcast where we play board games,
Yep.
which seems delightful.
What's your favorite board game?
Oh, that's a good question. You talked to me about chess yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've gotten really into chess on Instagram. And there was a big thing that happened
play
this week. No, you just watch people play chess, and they're like chess influencers who have funny ways of talking about the game of chess, and you kind of just watch them and keep watching them. And so there was in my newfound kind of rabbit hole of chess content, there was a big chess match between like an Indian grandmaster and a Norwegian grandmaster. They've played before, but the Indian one won, I think, for the first time this time. And the Norwegian, right after he, forfeited the game because it was clear he was going to lose, pounded the table,
Yeah.
and walked away.
Which was such a big deal, right? Like you're not supposed to pound the table.
No. And I tried to like watch through what the match meant and why he was so upset. And I think I understood it. It was basically like he started off very strong.
Yeah.
And the Indian gentleman named Gukesh, he started off in a poorer position, but was able to turn the table kind of subtly. And then maybe Magnus, the Norwegian, made a blunder, and then Gukesh, the Indian, pounced on that.
But I think like Magnus is also like fucked up in like because he became a grandmaster when he was like what 12
Yeah, pretty
or something. He's like he was such a prodigy.
Yeah.
So he's expecting him to behave in a normal way is kind of like expecting Mick Jagger to behave in a normal way. They've just been the best in the world at what they do for so long.
And then Gukesh character is 19. So he's sort of like, it's kind of like a changing of guard, perhaps. Who knows what it is exactly in the whole world, and you can correct us. Whoever is listening, this is Spoin Lyle. Yeah. If we're wrong. But one thing I was really struck by was just how nervous Gukesh was. And you could there was like a one reel I saw kind of was zooming in on this chest area, and you could just see it beating like
Really?
a hummingbird. That like his heart was beating so fast.
Because I saw when Magnus apologized to him, like he didn't even seem to like take on board the apologies. He seemed like very flustered by the whole thing.
I think he was just recovering from his heart rate being at like 225 for the last 7 to 8 minutes because he was like playing something. He was just
Yeah.
the game was afoot. It's like it. And I get really nervous when I play chess too.
Are you good?
No, my kid can beat me.
Well, then I'll play you.
We should.
I'm terrible. I think I don't really know. I'm still like, oh, the horsey goes forward and
Did
why
I
in
ever
that?
tell you this story? When I was younger, I did mushrooms. Well, the first time ever, and it was on this beautiful beach in Puerto Rico. I was with friends. We were just having the best time. It was like a gorgeous spring day. The waves were lapping at our feet. The sand was kind of like swirling. The clouds were doing its weird thing. After that, we kind of, ambled back to our beautiful house we were staying at. And there were these utility workers cutting grapefruits from there's a grapefruit tree that was overgrowing some electrical lines, and they're just cutting down grapefruits. And they're like, "Hey, would you like some? Would you like grapefruits?" And we were like, "Okay, sure." And we opened the grapefruits and just kind of like smashed them in our faces, and it was like eating the sun, right? Like literally, I felt the synesthesia of eating the sun. And then the day goes on, the sun starts to set. I'm standing on the roof. It's beautiful. And two of my friends I see them out of the corner of my eye in a little gazebo, start playing chess. And I go down, I'm curious. I'm like, okay, interesting chess. Let's go watch. And as the sun is going down, as I'm watching them play chess, I really feel kind of this shift, a change in like the tenor of the day. And instead of it being this like beautiful, sunny, like collective, wondrous world, it became this war between my friends. That was like I couldn't get access to it because I couldn't go into their heads and see what they were thinking or how they were planning. But I saw it enacted in these little pieces, and I really think chess is such a brutal sport, brutal game, a brutal way of interacting with another person. And yet, people, I mean, of course, find some community in it, but it really scares the shit out of me. Chess does.
I think that's why I don't really like it either. There's nowhere to hide. Right? When you get beaten, you get beaten. And I get beaten a lot. I like collaborative board games, when it's you and your friends trying to beat a game. I don't like to
like Catan.
No, that's super competitive. That's even like people turn into assholes. There's one that I like called Pandemic, which is an amazing game. Amazing game. Maybe we'll play it. It's you and your friends are trying to
survive.
You're trying to cure.
Cure
a pandemic. It's really good. They're great. Like you just it's super hard and frustrating, but you're playing together, which is really cool. Your mushroom story made me think about like my old weird. Did I tell you about the time I had a bad trip on mushrooms?
No.
I mistimed it. Like it was a summer, and I mistimed it, and I took like a bunch of mushrooms at 11 p.m.
Oh boy.
And then at 11:30, I was like, well, time for bed, I guess.
You tried to go to sleep.
I just went to sleep. And I went to sleep and I woke up at 2, just terrified.
Yeah.
And you saw like the cars were driving past the house and you saw the light on the walls, the shadows playing, and I was so scared. And for whatever reason, I was thinking about Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh, that's terrible to think about.
Yeah. And Chuck E. Cheese has music. I don't know if you knew this. You can go on Spotify after you finish listening to this episode and liking and subscribing, and we'll put links in the description to go to Chuck E. Cheese music. Chuck E. Cheese has music, like a bunch of hours of music on Spotify. And I was like, to listen to Chuck E. Cheese music. And in my mind, all the songs became about murder.
Oh boy.
So I sat for like 4 hours in bed, scared out of my mind, listening to Chuck E. Cheese music and thinking about murder.
We should also note that I don't know exactly when this happened for you, but like this was for me in like the early 2000s.
Or like 2 years ago.
Oh, yours too. Yeah. My note that I was going to make is that I had no idea about dosing and stuff like that back then.
Well, that was when you just grabbed a fistful of dirt, basically.
Yeah, I just ate that. Yeah. Now it's like these beautiful little gummies or like little chocolates and kind of microdose, and you just have a nice time outside.
Yeah.
That back then it was like it's basically an ayahuasca trip. Like that's kind of the way that I thought about it back then.
I'll add a picture, and this is just me trying out the technology.
Yeah.
Because there's a picture. I took a selfie one time. I was doing gardening, very high on mushrooms,
Mhm.
and I've never been happier. And if I can do this, I'll put up a picture like here. It probably won't work, in which case I'm just pointing in the air, but whatever. Anyway, on these happy stories, why don't we call it?
Let's call it right now. And one more time, urge everyone who's still around to,
Just like and subscribe.
hit the subscribe.
Rate it on Spotify.
Leave a comment on one of the Instagram posts.
Leave a comment on one
That's
of the Instagram
easy.
posts. That's so easy. Share it with your friends. And yeah, if you guys do want to ask us questions, it doesn't have to be like related to me and Krishna. It could be whatever.
Yeah.
We'll try to handle it.
But listen, we really need to make some moves and momentum on our actual projects, because otherwise it's just going to become you and me talking to each other without shit to talk about anymore.
Okay, fine. We promise.
We promise.
Until next week.
We'll see you soon.
Bye bye. I love you.